big stories making the headlines this morning. So, first of all, let's talk about the Prime Minister this morning, who appeared on Good Morning Britain for the first time in nearly 5 years, speaking about the cost of living crisis. In the interview, Reid quotes from a Good Morning Britain case study of a pensioner, Elsie, who says her energy bill has gone from £15 a month to £85 a month. She's now only having one meal a day. She uses her Freedom bus pass to spend the day on the bus so she doesn't have to pay the heating. Horrible case study. Awful. Incredibly sad. And this is how the Prime Minister responded.
She gets up early in the morning to use her Freedom bus pass to stay on buses all day to avoid using energy at home. What else should Elsie cut back on?
Just remind you that the 24-hour Freedom bus pass was something that I actually introduced, just parenthetically.
Marvellous. So Elsie should be grateful to you for her bus pass.
So he introduced the Freedom bus pass so that Elsie could sit all day on the bus.
I think that's
and doesn't have to be at home spending any money.
That's a case of just not getting it, isn't it? I mean, just not understanding what that means and somehow thinking he comes away with a plaudit for having given out the Freedom bus pass. I mean, on my show, certainly we've heard of people who sleep on the bus. And the thing is, you can't just sleep on the bus and ride round and round every time it comes into another bus station. You have to get off, be woken up and get back on again for the next bus. It's absolutely
nevertheless,
deadly.
Even the fact that you can't, you shouldn't.
Of course you shouldn't. Of course you shouldn't, but he doesn't appear to grasp that at all, does he?
It's embarrassing that he also seems to make it about him. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to read too much into the answer, but he's presented with a case study of a poor lady who's having to go on the bus to keep herself warm, and he is offering the satisfaction that he brought the ability for her to be able to do that sort of weirdly making it about him.
Really
and then also offering no other help other than saying, well, there are jobs. And you think, it's not really going to help a 77-year-old who's tooling around on the bus trying to stay warm. And either it's the case that the government just can't do any more, in which case say that, but it's not true and it's not what the government is saying.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of discussion, because we watched the interview this morning, and there was a lot of discussion, obviously, on fuel prices, how much fuel costs, whether or not there should be a windfall tax on those big energy companies. I think Shell published their profits. They're just looking at billions now for the profits of these energy companies. And his point was, if we windfall tax them, then they're less inclined to invest in our future, which means that maybe we won't be quite so safe from Russian influences. We make our own power.
God, it's extraordinary how Ukraine and Russia seems to be being brought into every single facet of everything. And sometimes you can't help thinking these are very tenuous links.
But when you
you might think it was a vote winner to say, yes, this is what we're going to do.
When you look at the £1 billion profits from some of these companies, and the fact that Elsie is sitting on a bus so she doesn't have to spend any money heating her house, it has one meal a day, then that's where people are looking for the money. We're paying all of this for our fuel, so we're going to tax you.
4.9 billion quid in the first 3 months of this year profit, according to the figures out today for BP. I think a lot of people will find it irresistible, as you say, drawing the comparison between people who can't heat their home and the massive profits being made by these companies. And it seems like the Conservative Party is not in a position to be able to do what Labour is saying that they do, and windfall tax some of these big companies. And you just think, why? Well, why? What are you trying to protect?
Yeah. But actually, you think if they're not in a position to, just say that. Just say, we would like to do this, we understand it would be very popular, the reason why we can't do it, and explain. And actually, if you've got an ideological objection to it,
well, the explanation that seemed to be hidden in all of the bumble was the fact that it would limit their future investment in the country.
And Susanna Reid asked the right question, which is, well, what is your job? Are you there to help people pay their bills, or are you there to help these companies protect their profits so that they can reinvest in the... And actually, that is a question that the Conservative Party, I used to work for them, for the last 7 years, have not been able to give a coherent answer to.
This is another unbelievable story here. A fake priest spends night in Windsor Castle barracks. So, Vanessa, just explain what happened here then.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. He spent the whole night there. It's like a sort of, if it were not so worrying and potentially so dangerous, you'd think it was an Ealing comedy, wouldn't you? Yeah. Somebody dressed as a priest, pretending to be a priest, gets past all the security at Windsor to spend the night there in the barracks. Absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? And also frightening.
Well, I mean, this is an intruder who's not been identified, claimed to be a priest and a friend of the Padre to the Coldstream Guards there, told lies about winning war medals in Iraq as he spent the night in the officers' mess, eventually raising suspicions. I mean, you know, it's one of those things that you want to get in somewhere and have a clipboard or have a good story, you know, but I think security is something of an issue.
Well, you didn't quite... I mean, it's not as if he made it into the Queen's bedroom, which is what happened in the early... I think on a number of occasions people have got pretty close, if not into Buckingham Palace. So this is a way away from that. But still,
1982, there was
Michael Fagan. We all remember that. The Queen engaged him in conversation and was incredibly brave, wasn't she?
Because she was in Sandringham, I think, at the time. But this is within the barracks.
But as you say, deal with it with enough confidence. Have the right costume on, and presumably you can get in anywhere if you deliver the story.
And also, you wonder if this is an example of the thing that people don't like about what they call wokeness, which is someone comes in dressed as a priest. You don't want to offend. You know, you're so scared to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing that you let a fake priest in. You don't do the right things, the right sort of checks and balances.
I suspect it probably won't be allowed to happen again.
No.
Staff at a top city law firm were given the option of working from home full-time, but they'll have to take a 20% pay cut.
I think 20% seems very high, don't you? 20% of your income to stay at home. If people work out how much they save by not going into work, I don't think it's as much as 20% of their entire salary. In fact, I think it's a fraction of that. So I think this is going to be deeply unpopular with staff.
Fastest way to get people back into the office, isn't it? If you really want to get people back into the office.
And that's what it's really about, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, if you're going to cut your pay by 20%, you think, right, I'll be there Monday to Friday, whenever you want me, whenever you need me there. I just think if people are working well enough, as in they're doing what they need to do, does it really matter where they do it from? If you're delivering the same output, you know, production, performance, whatever, hitting your targets, then why not?
Just very quickly, in our last 40 seconds, 4-year-old boy could have a future in Formula 1 after taking his mum's car for a drive in the Netherlands. Police in the central city of Utrecht said the child crashed into 2 parked cars on Saturday before leaving the scene in his pyjamas and bare feet.
I think some people are just born able to drive. I know my grandson could definitely...
Quite clearly isn't.
Yeah, well, able to have a good bash at it anyway, probably better than some adults.
And it wasn't like an automatic. He put his foot on the clutch and gas pedal.
Just thought the gist of it.
I can't even do that.
Oh, God, that's amazing, boy. Watch this space.
Yeah, extraordinary. So there you go.
If he's crashing, I'm not sure Formula 1 is for him right this second. But you know, maybe there's a path there somewhere.
I mean, he's only 4.
No, quite. He's got time. He's got time. They start him young now, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much.